So one thing I want to point out is that the weekly bundles are aligned with the weekly entries in the course schedule. So here you see week 1 bundle, mandatory orientation, 3%. Well, when you go to the weekly bundles folder, let me just make that a little bit smaller, in the course Blackboard, and you scroll down looking for the weekly bundle, you see that it says week 1 bundle, mandatory orientation, 3% course grade. So complete alignment right there. Then you can see that I say step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for example, follow video-based bundle introduction, complete and submit results for orientation quiz review. So again, then when you click on this, in this instance, you're going to see all of the steps or component of a task or set of tasks available there. So you can see that all of the steps and the title for all of these, for each step, here online in the weekly bundle in the course Blackboard and eCampus is completely aligned with the number of steps, the ordering of steps, and the titles that are used to name each step. During weeks 1, 2, and 3, you will see all tasks and components of a task all at once. Keep in mind that when it comes to week 4, I will begin to employ adaptive learning, meaning you will have to sometimes complete a given task within a bundle before you can access another task within the same bundle. I will go over this adaptive learning feature when it is deployed during week 4. Another thing that I really need to stress is that the course schedule is the only official source for knowing exactly what is required of you during a given week and for getting all of the context, instructions, and content for a given information. It's really important that you know this, and in a moment I'm going to give you a prompt, and one of the details that I want you to include in one of your answers is what I just said. And that is that the course schedule is the only official source for knowing exactly what is required of you during a given week and getting all of the context, all of the instructions, and all of the content for a given week. The gradebook and any to-do list that you might find in Blackboard or eCampus do not provide sufficient information about what is required for a given week. Let's look at an example again using week 1. So here in the course schedule, we see that there are 7 steps to complete. Now, if you were to use only the gradebook, which is what some students have done in the past, all they see then is here you've got step 6 of orientation. But where are steps 1 through 5? For me as a student, it would be confusing if I was using the gradebook or some other task list that appears in eCampus or Blackboard to see that the only assignment in here says step 6. I might be wondering, well, where is step 1 through 5? The problem is that such a student, or if I were that student, is not using the official course schedule to see what all is required during a given week. The gradebook only gives you a list of things that need to be submitted online, but it doesn't give you, it doesn't include the context for an assignment or a task or a component of a task. It often will not include instructions or videos or lessons or lectures that go with a given task that is submitted, and sometimes it will not include the content that you need or often. So do not use the gradebook. As you can see, and we all know, of course, that there are 7 steps to this orientation that provide context for this, there's only 1 step here. I iterate this because I've had students say that they are accessing a writing assignment. And they're like, I have no idea what to do for this writing assignment. I'm completely lost and clueless. I have found that sometimes when that occurs, it's because students are going through the gradebook. They find something that says submit writing assignment for week 3. They click on it, but they don't see any instructions. They don't get the context. They don't get the instructional videos. They don't get examples, because that's not where those things are. They do not reside here in the gradebook. All right, so I do have more to say about the course schedule, the online bundles and task availability, like I said, with respect to adaptive learning, but I'll get back to that before you know it, during week 4. One last thing I want to iterate or recommend is that you print off the course schedule or copy it by hand, and or copy all steps and components of a steps in a personal calendar. I recommend just printing off this list. And then what you do is, as you work through each step, only after you are complete that you cross it out. You might also put like some little squares And you could put like a line through a square to say that you've started it, it's in process. And then when you're completely done with the step, you could completely color or fill in the square with ink or whatever you're using to mark up this document. The thing is, I don't have time to confirm or double confirm that you have completed all tasks. For this reason, when students email me and ask, can you check and make sure that I've turned in everything? I don't have time to do that for 100 students. And actually, I'm probably going to end up with 125 students this semester. My way of helping you and being there for you is to provide a detailed list of tasks and subtasks. So I need you to work with me and collaborate and team up with me in doing your part to hold yourself accountable and responsible for checking things for yourself. So print this off and just simply cross through things and follow what I said in an earlier part of the orientation where I talked about documenting any access issues that you may have with respect to a task or element of a task and documenting submissions. So again, that is something I strongly recommend. Now you can always use the gradebook, for example, to double check that something has been submitted. So for example, you clicked on submit, you did the step 6, you did the orientation review, you clicked on submit, of course you have your evidence that you've submitted, but then of course you can always go to the gradebook and say, okay, let me double check the gradebook. I think I submitted it, and that's what some students will tell me, well, I thought I submitted it, so I don't know why it's showing that I didn't submit. Well, you can always go to the gradebook. When it comes to something that has to be submitted, what you can use the gradebook for is to see if it's been entered into your gradebook. Let's say I think I've submitted submitted step 6 of orientation. Then on a Sunday, the official deadline of the orientation deadline for week 1, I get an email from Dr. C. That email says, hey, you missed the official deadline. You have 3 or 4 days to get it in without any penalty, without any points lost. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, I crossed it off my list. I did this step. I completed the orientation and I submitted it. So then what I do as a student is I go back, I go into the gradebook and I look. And then what do I see this? This icon means in progress. That means that I didn't click the submit button. Maybe I thought I did, I had a false memory, maybe I confused this with another class, but the point is that maybe I could have done this also beforehand, before crossing anything off my list that has to be submitted. I maybe should and could, and I encourage you to use the gradebook to make sure that you actually have followed through with submission. But again, if you had clicked submit, this would have a needs grading icon or a score. So that would be proof of your submission. But also, you should have gotten a submission, like a confirmation, and then you would have saved that. But this shows that it is not submitted. And this is one way that it is appropriate to use the gradebook. Not to get all of the context, lessons, videos, or instructions for a given week, but to verify for yourself that you really did click on some submission or finish button for something that needed to actually be submitted online. All right, so for this item in the orientation, believe it's item 12 or question 12, I want you to tell me, I want you to write complete sentences giving me answers to the following. You do not need to type up the questions, just the sentences. What did I say are completely aligned? I said there are 2 things that are completely aligned in this mini lecture. What are they? I also said that the course schedule is the only official source for 2 things. And then I said that I gave you a reason as to why you do not want to use the gradebook to make sure you get all of the learning and all of the tasks done. Why not? What did I show you? And when did I say what did I say was an appropriate use of the gradebook to check and make sure you've done what you need to do? So please answer all of those questions in complete sentences.